Creepy true Home Alone horror stories. Hate being home alone.
Before reading today's stories,
Creepy, man.
I'd like to thank DraftKings for sponsoring this video. Never legally permitted. DraftKings is and live with your real in the game. Kings winning casting promo instantly on it.
Story 1.
When I was 22, I started renting the downstairs apartment in my parents' house just to save money, but also have a little more privacy. Even though my parents would go away a decent amount, it still just felt like I had no privacy and couldn't even have friends or girls over in peace. The downstairs apartment is separated by a lockable door in the stairway. It was an open layout down there, with the mini kitchen being a part of the living room area. There was then my bedroom, bathroom, and laundry room down the hall, and a side entrance through the living room. This happened on a weekend that my parents were away, so I could be as loud as I wanted. I had my friends Anthony and Jay over just to shoot the shit and have a couple drinks on the couch watching the hockey game.
Shoot the what? Hey, what kind of messed up party games you guys playing in America? You shoot shit? You shoot shit. What the?
Since my parents weren't home, we were blasting music as we chilled. I wouldn't say I got drunk, but I definitely got a buzz going by the end of the game. I would keep the door between my apartment and the upstairs unlocked when my parents were gone, since I didn't have to worry about them randomly coming down. I kept the drinks in the fridge upstairs since it was bigger and quite literally just worked better. Since my friends drove and had been drinking, both of them decided to crash at my place for the night.
Okay,
the couch down there was massive. It could easily sleep 3 people if they laid down the correct way. So after a pretty long night of drinking, I said goodnight and went to my room to go to sleep. I found myself waking up in my bed a few hours later. It was still the middle of the night, or early morning hours. I immediately heard what most likely woke me up. I heard footsteps from...
Yo, I swear to God I just heard my door. Nah, don't do this to me, bro. I swear to God I just heard my door. Ron was back in.
I immediately heard what most likely woke me up. I heard footsteps.
It was that! Is it? Oh, it's the video.
I immediately heard what most likely woke me up.
That. Did you hear that? That sounded like my door. I thought that was my door.
Heard footsteps from upstairs. Someone was walking around up there. It was a pretty natural assumption that it was Anthony or Jay going upstairs to check my parents' fridge for cold water or something, so I didn't let it bother me.
Right.
I closed my eyes again, only to hear something else just a couple minutes later. The sound of my bedroom doorknob. Someone tried twisting it, but it was locked. I always lock my bedroom door, it's just a force of habit. I wondered why either of them were trying to come in, but I was tired and figured if I just didn't say anything and pretended to be asleep, they'd go back to sleep themselves. Maybe it sounds weird, but I just didn't have the energy to be bothered at all.
Wait, what do you mean? If it's your friends, you just tell him to go away. Hey, get out, man, I'm sleeping! So, you know what I mean? Why did you say nothing?
I fell asleep shortly after that. When I woke up the next morning, Anthony was already gone, but Jay was still asleep on the couch. When he heard me open the fridge door, he slowly started moving around and rubbing his eyes. I asked him if he was trying to come into my room last night, and he said no, he didn't think so, but that he didn't remember because he got pretty drunk. He and I went to a nearby deli to get some bacon, egg, and cheeses and coffee, and then we ate them in my backyard. He left not long after that, and I pretty much went about my day as usual. I didn't ask Anthony if he tried coming into my room because honestly I didn't care that much about it. It really wasn't a huge deal. I think I spent most of that Saturday out of the house doing stuff with other friends. I got back home pretty late at night, but not really intoxicated because that day was more of a marathon, and by then I'd sobered up. I was beat though, so I had a snack, washed up, and went straight to bed. When I say went to bed, I actually mean I crawled into bed and watched like an hour of something on TV.
Okay.
After I turned off the TV, right away, I heard it. Creaks and thumps from above, almost sounding like footsteps similar to the night before, directly overhead in the kitchen upstairs.
Hey, you know what? Hey. Someone's living in your mum and dad's apartment. I know you split off the house, but someone's living in your mum and dad's section.
I had to really focus and listen, but the sound stopped. I felt my heart start beating a bit faster. I felt a slight nervous feeling in my gut for a few minutes as I was sitting up and waiting to hear something else.
I'm nervous for him.
Eventually, I laid back down and relaxed, realizing it was most likely just some normal house settling noises, and my paranoid thoughts were making them out to be louder than they were. I couldn't have been more wrong. I should have trusted my initial feeling. When I heard the doorknob to my bedroom door move again, I sprang up so quickly that you'd think I was about to get hit by a bus. The doorknob only moved for a couple seconds like it did the night before, but tonight, there was a light knock at the door, followed by the doorknob.
That's creepy.
I didn't say a word.
That's creepy.
I reached for my phone, which was on the bed, and started texting my family along with Anthony and Jay. I knew the chances of it being one of my friends were next to zero, but deep down, I was hoping one of them would by some chance respond back saying, yes, it's me.
That's horrible.
My parents didn't answer the phone. They must have been asleep. They were not supposed to be back until Monday. There was no way I was about to say, who's there? I quietly got out of my bed and hid behind the corner dresser, grabbing a blunt object in the scary chance that whoever was out there would kick the door down and rush the bed.
Wait, hold up, bro. Have you ever heard of 911? You text your family, you text your friends. Yeah, you're on your phone, you got access to your phone. Do you not know what 911 is? What if someone comes busting through this door with a goddamn gun? What are you gonna do? You got a blunt object in the corner of the room?
I'm not kidding. I think 10 minutes went by and I didn't move from the spot, but there
Police
wasn't
would have been
another
there
set
by
of
now.
knocks. I called 911 finally and whispered as quietly as I could while still being loud enough to hear.
Yo, it only took him 10 minutes to call 911. They would have been there by now.
I waited on the line with a 911 operator until the police arrived. Since I didn't feel safe exiting the room, I asked the operator if she could tell the police to meet me at my bedroom window. Once an officer was outside my window, they gave it a tap and I went to open it. Thank God I was on the first floor. I handed him the key to the side door, and moments later I heard the entrance to my apartment open. It was only then that I left my bedroom and was greeted by 2 officers. I turned on all the lights. My apartment was small with not many places to hide, so the search down there was quick. Then we went up to the main floor of the house and searched it. Nothing. And then we got upstairs. I told the officers what each room was before they'd enter.
Someone's living there.
It was when they entered my parents' room that I heard a commotion about 30 seconds later. I was outside in the hallway when I heard it. I took one peek into the room and saw 2 officers yelling at someone under my parents' bed.
Oh shit.
I felt a knot in my stomach. I was told to wait downstairs. It was minutes later that they were walking down a tall, dirty, scary-looking man in a sweatshirt and shorts.
Yo.
They asked me if I knew this man, and I said of course not. The look of hate that man gave me was haunting. He looked like he could have been homeless, crazy, or both. Once he was out of the house, I felt a million times better. The police told me that if I or my parents wanted to follow up with this, to call the precinct. After they left, the first thing I did was text every family and friends group chat I had. Being that it was so late, only a few people responded. I called my parents first thing in the morning to explain what happened. They were of course in awe, as anyone would be, but because the man was homeless and nothing was apparently stolen, my parents didn't pursue any legal action.
Damn,
I feel
bro.
like it's possible I left the front door unlocked that night Jay and Anthony came over, and he simply walked right in when we were blasting music. Or, a scarier thought, he could have been in the house for much longer than that. And
Yo, that's actually hella creepy, someone just living in your house with you. That is really creepy. Do you know what's crazy as well? You never really hear of it in the UK because the houses are really small compared to America. You would know if someone's living with you in the UK. You would know. But these houses, you know, a little bit more room to be a bit sneaky.
just never knew.
Story number 2.
I've always loved the quiet. I moved up to this little cabin in rural upstate New York about 5 years ago, away from the chaos of the city. The place is big, secluded, and the woods stretch out far beyond my property. The nearest neighbor is miles away, and the only sounds you can hear are the wind in the trees and the occasional bird chirping in the distance. It's peaceful, and that's how I like it.
Beautiful.
Fishing is my thing. I spend most of my time on the lake. That's it.
Oh, don't mention fishing with my chat. Oh, I've just calmed them down. These guys are crazy about fishing.
It's just behind my house. It's the perfect place to escape everything.
Look at that.
I don't mind being alone. Hell, I enjoy it. The cabin has a huge deck that looks out over the woods. I often sit out there with a cold beer in my hand, watching the sun dip behind the trees and listen to the nighttime sounds of the woods.
That is beautiful.
It's always been peaceful, until recently. It started about 2 weeks ago. I was on the deck, like usual, just staring into the dark, when I heard something. A snap of a twig in the distance.
Bear?
I didn't
Rabbit?
think much of it. Deer,
Squirrel?
maybe, or a raccoon. The woods are full of life, and I've gotten used to the noises over the years. But as the days went by, the sounds became more frequent. At first, it was just that. Twigs snapping or leaves rustling. Things I thought were just animals. But then, one night, I heard something different. A scratching sound. It came from the side of the house.
Fuck that.
Somewhere near the window of the spare bedroom.
Hey, I don't know if you're Little Red Riding Hood and you're in the wrong part of forest and you got the fucking 3 bears after you, but nah. Bears need to chill out. Bears need to chill out. Don't be scratching up the wall like some creepy ass ring lady.
It was quiet, almost like it was trying to be sneaky.
Nah, I'm good.
I stood up my chair, heart pounding a little faster than usual. I waited, but nothing came after that. Probably just a squirrel, I told myself.
A squirrel?
But I didn't feel right. I decided to go inside and lock up for the night. The next evening, I heard it again. The scratching. It wasn't just at the side of the house anymore. Now it was closer.
Creepy.
It sounded like it was coming from right outside the spare bedroom window.
Creepy.
I froze, listening carefully, my nerves starting to fray. I couldn't explain it, but something felt off. I went to the window, pulling the curtains back slightly to see what was outside. The moonlight illuminated the trees, casting long shadows across the yard. The wind was still, and everything seemed normal.
And there it was Trainer Partner! Imagine this guy outside your window, chat. This guy right here. He's just there outside your window. You want some bears? You want some bears, mate? You want some bears?
No animal, no person.
Fight time!
I shook my head, telling myself that I was just letting my imagination run wild.
Scary.
It was probably a branch brushing up against the window, or maybe the wind. I convinced myself it wasn't anything to worry about and went to bed. The next night, the scratching returned. It wasn't just scratching anymore, though. It sounded like light tapping, as if someone were tapping on the window, trying to get my attention.
Yeah, that's not a squirrel, mate. That's not a squirrel,
my heart
mate.
Skipped a beat, and I jumped out of bed. I grabbed a flash.
I can't lie. If this stuff started happening to me, maybe I'm just overly paranoid, but I'm off home. Anyone else? Like, I wouldn't even allow it to get to day 3. Maybe day 2, but then day 2 would freak me out that much. There's been back to back. I'm gone. I'm gone. I'm gone.
Flashlight and crept through the dark hallway toward the spare bedroom. When I reached the window, I shone the flashlight outside. There was nothing there. No person, no animal, just the same empty woods.
Okay.
But I couldn't shake the feeling that I wasn't alone. I couldn't explain it, but something was wrong. The air around me felt thick, heavy. I went back to bed, but I couldn't sleep. Every little noise seemed louder, and every creak of the floorboard sounded like someone was moving around in the house. I stayed awake, listening, but eventually I fell asleep out of sheer exhaustion. The nights went on, and the sounds didn't stop. I'd hear them every night, always the same. A tap, a scratch.
Yeah, to be fair, chat, you are right. You're saying, like, I would be gone after one gust of wind, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. To be fair, though, as beautiful as this is, I wouldn't even go here. Like, and alone? Crazy, bro. Nah. For me to go to a place like this, I need like 15 people at least. I need 15 people. It would be too scary, man. It's too in the middle of nowhere.
Sometimes even a faint whisper that seemed to come from within the walls. I tried to ignore it, but it was getting harder. One night, I decided to confront whatever was causing it. Maybe it was just an animal, I thought. Maybe a raccoon or some other critter had found its way inside. I grabbed a crowbar.
Yeah, I'm literally gonna be doing a camping stream, and I refuse to do it by myself, and it's just gonna be in my backyard that's fenced off. But that's because it's dark out there and it's scary, cat. Okay? It's scary. I went out there to look at the blood moon the other week and I was terrified. I couldn't see anything. I was terrified. Baby steps, huh? Baby steps, right?
Bar from the shed out back, figuring it might be a good idea to have something in case things got weird. I went to the spare bedroom and carefully opened the door. The air inside felt stale, like it hadn't been touched in ages.
Wait, okay.
I hadn't used the room in months. I shone the flashlight around the room, moving slowly, checking every corner, under the bed, behind the dresser. Nothing. I stood there for a minute, feeling like an idiot. There was nothing. It was just the same old room, empty. But as I turned to leave, I noticed something.
What?
The closet door was slightly ajar. I don't remember leaving it that way.
Uh-oh.
My stomach dropped. I slowly walked over and pulled open the door. Nothing was inside, but as I shone the flashlight into the back corner of the closet, I saw something strange.
Scary face.
A small piece of cloth caught on the edge of the wall. It was dark, torn, almost like a piece of clothing. My breath caught in my throat. I couldn't think straight. My mind raced. Was someone here? Had someone been inside my room? I backed out of the room, my heart thudding in my chest. I slammed the door shut and bolted it. I couldn't stay in that house another second. I went outside, hoping the fresh air would clear my mind.
Sell it on eBay,
The darkness of the woods felt like it was closing in on me, but I tried to shake it off. Maybe it was just my nerves. Maybe the isolation was getting to me. I slept on the couch that night, a baseball bat within reach, but I didn't hear anything. No scratching, no tapping.
I'm not being funny, mate, but you go to a cabin solo traveling in the middle of nowhere, and yeah, your weapon's a baseball bat. Where are you from, buddy? The UK? Or you from America? Because I'm confused. I'm confused. Like, fair enough, right? You don't need guns, right? Sure. But you're by yourself in the middle of nowhere. I think that's like the perfect time to have something that shoots. Even some just protection.
It was quiet.
A bear,
almost too
an
quiet.
animal.
The
some
next
crazy
night,
person.
I decided to be brave. I was going to stay in my bed, and I wasn't going to let whatever this was drive me out of my own house. But just as I was about to drift off to sleep, I heard it again. The tap, tap, tap against the window.
Hell no. Hell no.
I jumped up, heart racing, and grabbed the flashlight. I ran to the spare bedroom, not caring how loud my footsteps were. This time, when I pulled back the curtain, I didn't just see the woods. I saw a shadow. Someone standing just outside the window, barely visible in the dim light. I froze, my blood running cold. I turned around, my mind spinning. Who was that? What were they doing here? I didn't want to believe it, but there was no denying it now. Someone had been outside my house.
Hell no.
They had been watching me. I ran to the phone and called 911, my hand shaking so much that I could barely dial. The operator answered, and I could barely speak through the panic in my voice.
Don't worry, buddy. It's just Trailer Park Lou. I'm just all alone in the forest, mate. I just want to drink with someone. I've been tapping on your window for like 5 days now. I know you're in there by yourself. I'm bored. You want to drink? You want to drink, buddy? I just want to drink, man.
Someone's been outside my house, I said, and I think they're still here. I gave them my address, and they said they'd send someone out right away. I hung up and looked around the room. I needed to leave. I couldn't stay here anymore. But as I turned to grab my jacket, I heard something from the hallway. A slow creak.
Oh, no.
Someone was moving through the house.
Oh, no.
I didn't hesitate. I ran for the back door, flinging it open and tearing through the woods. I ran as fast as I could, not stopping to look back, my lungs burning with every step. By the time I made it to the edge of the property, I could see the flashing lights of the police cars in the distance.
This is actually a
I
horror.
slowed down,
like a horror
my body
game.
trembling, and I hid behind a tree, watching. The officers arrived at the house, guns drawn, searching the place. But I didn't stick around to find out what happened. I couldn't. I knew that whatever or whoever had been in that house, it wasn't done. I wasn't safe there anymore.
Oh, is that it?
I haven't gone back since. I followed up with the police to let them know I was alright so there wouldn't be a search out for me. The cabin is still there, sitting alone in the woods, but it doesn't feel like home anymore. Every time I close my eyes, I hear the tapping sound. I don't know who was in my house or what they wanted, but I know one thing for sure. They were waiting for me, and they're still out there.
No, if anything creepy ever happened to my house, like, I would literally just have to move. Story 3.
This happened when I was about 15 years old, back in 2008. My parents went out to the casino for the night, so it was just me and my dog Abby home alone. It was about 11 at night, and I was up messaging some friends on Instant Messenger and watching YouTube videos. As I was typing and chatting away, I heard Abby barking at something in the living room. I figured it might be my parents getting home and just waited. After about a minute or so of more barking and no sound of the door opening, I got up and went into the living room to check it out. Abby was facing the windows that looked out onto our driveway, still barking. I couldn't really see out of the windows because the lights were off outside, and it was really dark. I peered through the window and saw only the one car in our driveway, so I knew my parents hadn't come home yet. I chalked it up to Abby possibly hearing a neighbor's car door slam shut, or a particularly loud car driving by, as we lived on a main road with lots of noise.
Yo, I know, listen, I don't know if I'm just extremely paranoid, but if my dog was barking at the driveway, yeah, I'm immediately stocking up. Like, I'm ready. I'm becoming a ninja. I live in the UK, so I've got knives, right? But I'm immediately getting the biggest, baddest knife, a couple of them, either side, and I'm there, planning my defense. Planning my defense. I trust the dog, man. If the dog's barking at something to drive, something's there.
Late at night,
Something's there.
I went back to messaging my friends, but over the next 5 minutes, I kept feeling like I was hearing noises around my house. Abby would stop and start barking again at different intervals. I was about to get up to calm her down when I could have sworn I heard a knock or a rustling sound at the living room door.
What?
I got up and slowly made my way back into the living room to look through the windows again. Nothing.
Wait, is the living room door on the outside of the house?
Starting to get a little nervous and was too scared to look into the peephole in case some crazy face was staring back at me. I double-checked to make sure the door was locked and was about to leave the room when the sound of knocking suddenly came from the side door of the house. My heart fluttered. I didn't know what to think.
Uh-oh.
Like, did my parents get locked out and they were trying to get in? Was someone trying to break in? Was there more than one person? I barely had time to register those thoughts when I heard the sound of the doorknob from downstairs being shimmied with, like someone was trying to open it. Our basement was essentially under the house, with the entrance being pretty hidden. To get to that door, you had to walk around the entire house into our backyard and go under the deck. You'd either need to already know the door was there, or be really determined to find a way in. Abby was whimpering and barking louder than ever, running from room to room trying to locate the threat. It felt like the whole house was surrounded. The noises from the basement grew louder, and it almost sounded like whoever it was had managed to get it open, because suddenly, the noise stopped.
Hey, what if it was your parents and they just forgot the key?
Heart sank. I stopped breathing, standing frozen in the silence, just waiting for the next sound. Then, quick as a whip, Abby flew down the stairs and started growling maniacally at whatever was down there. Abby was a good-natured black lab who had never hurt a fly, but in this moment, I had never heard her sound more threatening.
That's a
It
good
felt
dog.
like I was frozen in place for minutes.
It's a good dog.
Finally, my fight-or-flight instinct kicked in when I realized Abby had stopped barking and growling. I called her upstairs and locked the door inside the house that led to the basement.
Hey, I can't lie, bro. If an intruder came into my house and my dog is there growling, hey, guess who's being a dog 2.0? Me. I'm getting on all fours and I'm growling like a dog as well. I'm gonna tag team with the dog on the thief, mate, on the robber. That guy gonna get mauled by 2 dogs. I wouldn't be able to leave my dog there just to attack the robber by itself. I'd have to join it.
I grabbed the home phone because I didn't have a cell phone yet and ran with Abby into the closet in my parents' room where one of the guns we owned was stored.
Oh yeah,
I
get
sat
out.
there,
Should've
armed
got
and
ages
ready,
ago.
about to call 911 when I suddenly heard the front door open. Abby sprinted out. I yelled no after her, but then heard the sound of my parents' voices. I ran into the living room to see them petting Abby and looking at me strangely. I spent the next several minutes recounting the events of the night to my parents. My mom was horrified, and my dad's—
Mate, it's a good job I don't live in America, chat. Because if that was happening to me, immediately I would have got the gun and just literally mag dumped the door. And who knows, it could have been my grandma. You know what I mean? Like, hey, mom, I didn't know grandma was coming round. You could have told me. You could have told, I thought it was a robber, man. That's just laying there. You know what I mean? It's probably a good job. It's probably a good job, but I don't live in America. I don't have access to these.
Spent the next hour searching every corner of the house, inside and out, with his gun in hand. We didn't find anything, and I didn't sleep that night. The next afternoon, there was a knock at the front door. My heart immediately skipped a beat, and I instinctively darted into another room. My dad opened the door to find my Uncle Pete standing there with an envelope in his hand. Uncle Pete was a narcissistic creep, to say the least.
Okay.
He always mistreated my aunts and acted very weird around the kids and cousins at family parties.
Okay.
Nothing illegal as far as we knew, but he just had this way about him. You knew to try to avoid him. Growing up, I always felt a bit anxious whenever he talked to me. I can't remember anything specific he may have said, but his overall demeanor was unsettling.
Uncle
Even
Pete sounds
adults
like a
who spent too
weirdo.
much time around him said he made them uncomfortable. I played softball, and his daughter, my cousin Kate, played in a league a few years below mine. I loved my cousin and always felt bad for her, having such a creepy dad, so I would often give her tips or help out her team with pitching and fielding lessons. My mom and I eavesdropped from—
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. Vicky, I'm with you. I think Uncle Pete's on a list. I think Uncle Pete is on a list. Maybe with a white van. I don't know. He's sounding a bit dodgy.
another room and overheard Uncle Pete say something like, "I tried to stop by last night to drop it off, but no one was home, I guess." I couldn't hear much else, but shortly after, I heard my dad slam the door shut. My mom and I peeked out and asked what happened. My dad, his face quivering with anger, said that apparently Uncle Pete had been the one stomping around the house last night trying to get inside. He handed me the envelope, and I opened it to find a card with a gift card inside, thanking me for helping his daughter with softball lessons. A night of panic and terror, all at the hands of my creepy uncle. My dad had threatened him during the conversation at our front door, and after that, we never really spent time with him again.
Hey, Uncle Pete will have no teeth after that. The guy's 15 and you're there, like, being a creep around the house. You're not going to knock on the door and go, "Hi, it's Uncle Pete." Hey, Uncle Pete will be no Pete. It'll be no Pete.
When I think about this story now,
It'll be no
I'm at
Pete
least
if
glad
I
I
was
found
dad.
out who was behind the incident. Otherwise, I might have spent years wondering if it had been burglars, a
That's
ghost,
true.
or something else. I'm thankful Abby was there to protect me. She most certainly scared him off when he was trying to get in through the basement. But even so, I'm still left with so many
Weirdo.
questions. What the hell was he thinking? Why did he need to drop that card off so late at night?
That is
Why
weird.
didn't he get the hint that we weren't home when no one answered the front door? Why wouldn't he try calling the house to see if we were home? And worst of all, what would have happened had he gotten inside?
Hey, Uncle Pete's a weirdo, man. He needs a lesson. He needs a lesson. He needs a lesson, man. Uncle Pete the freak.